Welcome to the City Commission study session. Please turn off or silence your phone during this meeting. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. and midnight and available for viewing at any time on YouTube. So tonight we're going to start with our study session and would like to welcome you, the semi-annual report from Leavenworth County Development Corporation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Over here, Lisa.
Thank you all for having me tonight. Let's get started right into it. Some of this I feel like is a little redundant, so I'll scoot through it really quick.
Weren't you just here?
I know. So you guys know
we love seeing you.
We've got that.
We love you.
So, we're a public-private organization. We're funded in part by the Port Authority, by the cities of Leavenworth, Lansing, and Tonganoxie, and by about 70 private investors. We've got 25 board members, 20 are private sector, 5 are public sector, and then we've got 5 executive committee members who kind of lead the way, and we have 3 staff members. Up there on the top left picture, you've got Jeremy Greenemeyer. He's got about a couple more months. And then Brian Habian will move in. It's a rotating situation through the executive committee. Of course, our mission, facilitate the creation and retention of jobs and capital investment in Leavenworth County through business attraction and business retention and expansion. And we do that in many ways through lots of marketing, business attraction. Business attraction, we have a professional website, social media. We are active on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and
It's hard to say now.
I know, Instagram. And then we send out email blasts that highlight some of the available properties. On the left, the picture on this slide is one of our email, one of the things that we include in our email blasts. We kind of rotate them through the community, but we at least get a couple times a year, we get the Leavenworth Business and Technology Park out there to over 200 realtors, site selectors, and developers. Make sure it's top of mind. And I apologize, I picked the wrong picture because it's got Paul Kramer's name on there, and I apologize. I'll get that updated.
It's all right.
I'm sorry. Of course, I'll talk about marketing trips and networking events, and then, of course, we respond to requests for information. Those are our project leads, and they come generally from the Kansas City Area Development Council, and then also the Kansas Department of Commerce, and then occasionally directly from the companies themselves. So this is kind of talking about the different networking and trips, events that I go to. On the left side, you've got a list of Kansas City kind of events that I go to. As I said, Kansas City Area Development Council is one of our major partners. We do pay a fee every year, $10,000 to be a member, but we receive a lot of our project leads from them. They also provide a lot of annual and quarterly networking events, and the people that are attending these events are all realtors, site selectors. Those people that we're trying to reach and make sure they hear about our community. Crew KC is a commercial real estate group for women, so it's another one I go to. The picture in the center, my favorite events with Crew are the project tours. This one was of the Rock Island Bridge, and so it's always interesting to hear about a project. You get to hear from the developers themselves and kind of some of the issues that they're experiencing, and then you get to network with some of the other commercial real estate people as you go on the tour. There's a couple other Metro Wire Media, International Trade Commission, and KC Tech Council. They're all some of those Kansas City area organizations that provide events that are specific to industries. The final one for Kansas City, SIOR, Development Day, I can't remember what that stands for. It's like a big trade show. And once a year at the Union Station down that center section, there's tons and tons of booths of developers. And what we do is we walk. We have our little elevator speech. We stop, we talk to them, we make sure that they know we've got opportunities, and we leave our business card. And this year I brought that flyer for the Leavenworth Business and Technology Park and dropped it off and talked about it as much as I could. The idea is to get invited to an after party. They're just, everybody gets together. They say that's where the real deals get done. And so I did get to go to one this year, so first one. So that was good.
You're members of all those. Are those just like, you get so many, like, is that membership by you, like 2 people get to go or 1 person gets to go, or?
KCADC, it's our organization that's a member, but as I've asked, sometimes I've asked you to come with me. Those I can bring people with me.
Yeah.
Crew is specific to one person, but some of them are.
Like
the rest of them
Development Day, I would love to go to that.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be good at that. Yes. Okay. September, and actually, I'm on the list to possibly have a booth.
Oh, that's
so that would be. It takes. By the time I found out that was an option, it was pretty late. People snag those up quick.
Bet they do. Okay.
So yeah, that would be really fun to do that together. Okay. On the right, you've got more national events. Team Kansas is an investor level organization. It was started by the state, and what they do is they coordinate trips to different places where site selectors are, Chicago, different places in the United States, and they'll coordinate a dinner or some type of event, and they'll make sure that the numbers match between the economic developers and the site consultants. So you have a little more intimate community or event, and you get a chance to talk one-on-one and talk to them about. These are the people that are hired by companies to find the next location. So we want them to know that we are an opportunity, and so that's been a real good. We're at the bottom level. It's $2,500. It gets me 2 events. But I got a free one, not really free, I pay for the, LCDC pays for the actual flight and everything, but I get to go to Atlanta next month. So sometimes people just can't make it, so that gives me an opportunity to step in. And one thing I want to talk to you about is the FAM tour. That's kind of cool. So when I was in Indiana at one of these Team Kansas trips, I was talking to the business recruiter for the Kansas Department of Commerce that organized this event. And it was talking about the Leavenworth Business and Technology Park. I said, I just want to, make sure we're not missing any opportunities for marketing. He says, there's going to be a FAM tour in the fall. Familiarization is what it stands for. And so the state is going to bring in some site selectors. Instead of going to them, this one they're going to bring them here to the state of Kansas. And they're having 12 communities, and Leavenworth gets to be one of those. And so they're going to do for 3 days, do a tour. They're going to show them different opportunities, some of the successes that have happened in Kansas. And so we get to be part of that. So I'm really excited about that.
So will you bring them to the park?
That's still being finalized, how they're going to actually do that, but I will have a chance to actually have one-on-one with those people. And we are also doing what's called a gift. The state's putting together a luxury bag, and so each community, each 12 of the 12 get to put in some type of item. So I had budgeted a certain amount of money to do some type of an event for the business park to market it, and since we didn't do that, I used that funds to purchase, and we've been working with this with Penny and her team, and we decided on a digital photo frame. So they're pretty inexpensive, and then we loaded it with a bunch of pictures. We wanted to make sure that they have the drone footage of we have a really cool drone footage that shows the renderings of buildings that are dropped down into the park, so people can see how big of a building, what type of buildings can be built in the park. And then we also have it was like 90 photos of quality of life, some of the parks, the
Did you get the pickleball courts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. So that's when I'm packing up today, and I'm going to be taking those to Topeka tomorrow.
You had all the leaves blown off, right?
Yes, it looks perfectly brand new. Yes, it's gorgeous. Was that an inside joke?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, so I will move on. Let's see. IAMC is a conference. The cool thing about this conference is it not only has these site selectors, developers, and realtors, it also has the end users. It has the companies themselves, and so I did get to go to this conference. Unfortunately, I have to be on a waiting list for 2 years before you can get become a member, because they try to balance the numbers of developers to economic developers. They don't want too many of either, so they try to, so I got 2 years to wait. But I got to go to one conference while I waited on that, and so that was a really good, and if you see on the top left, the picture there, we had opportunities to sign up for different events to network, and this was a service project. We helped Harvest for Hope pack a bunch of boxes of food for seniors,
Cool.
so that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And then SEDC, Meet the Consultants, Southern Economic Development Council. It's a industry-specific group, and they bring in site selectors, and they do professional development for us, but also networking opportunities. And there were several Kansas/Missouri people there. In the top right, you've got Pete Fullerton, going left to right. Pete Fullerton from the Kansas City International Airport. Then in the red shirt, you've got Morgan, who is from Hunt Midwest. Then me, and then Chris Gutierrez from KCADC. He's kind of the one that runs the industrial smart port. And then James Oldman from the Edgerton. So he's like me, he was an economic developer. So anyway, there was a lot of other people from the southern states, but we just got an opportunity to take a picture together there in Atlanta. And then another one is called Area Development, similar thing. So that's a lot, sorry. Let me just get myself on the right page so I make sure and tell you the most important things. So what you guys probably want to hear more about is project activity. Leavenworth Business and Technology Park, I've submitted that for, what did I say, 11 submittals, and we just got another one today that we're going to go ahead and submit for. Let's see, one was also for the Gary Carlson Business Park. And of those, you've got projects that included general manufacturing, construction machinery manufacturing, HVAC manufacturing, food production facility, a biopharma company, semiconductor facility, plastics recycling facility, lithium-ion battery service distribution and assembly, and then also a couple of data centers. So that's kind of, you can likely see that some of that does come from Panasonic,
Yeah.
is what we're thinking. So
Did we make top 3 on any of those?
on one data center, believe it or not, we did, and then all of a sudden they expanded their scope to, they needed 350 acres and tons of power, which is something I'm seeing,
Yeah.
not even just with data centers, but a lot of projects are just needing an insane amount of power. And Evergy's struggling, and then nationally, they're struggling with that, so.
Question, when
Yes.
projects are denied, do they inform us why they chose not to
I wish.
invest here? Okay.
I do go back and ask periodically, hey, whatever happened, you know, and even KCADC don't always, they don't, like, sometimes a project will start and then they kind of ghost them. Sometimes, but sometimes they just, there's people just kicking around dirt, just kind of looking, and then they don't hear anything for a long time. But I would say more often than not, we don't, but we do try to keep track of that.
Okay.
Okay. Project sources, as you can see, we've gotten in 2024, 48 leads and then 26 prospects. That 26 means I have started working on it. I've either, you know, done the work to submit or done some work on it. It became an actual project. Then of those 48, 23 have come from Department of Commerce compared to last year, which was 19. KCADC, we've gotten 9, and then 15 of them came directly from the actual companies themselves, and then 1 from a city. And marketing the Leavenworth Business and Technology Park. We know that it's been a while. It's been ready to go since 2018. We are looking for every opportunity we can to get it out in front of people. We did meet with the KCADC and talk to them. We see them as some of our people that we know they're directly involved with project activity, and they see the trends and they see what's happening. And so we ask them, are we missing anything? Is there anything we should be doing that we're not doing? And what we heard is that we are doing everything right. We are engaging with the right people. We are marketing in the right way. Unfortunately, the trends have kind of shifted and changed. When it first opened, the big trend was the big distribution companies, and unfortunately those need to be right next to I-70. It just didn't fit. And then we had COVID, which changed the way people do business. Then now what we're seeing is a trend of more light manufacturing. So we do feel that the right project is going to go there. We have a couple of challenges that we know, and I think it's important to know who you are. We've got the houses on the west side. That does create an issue for some developers. They're worried that those people will raise a fuss, even though it's already zoned light industrial. They're worried about what that could do to their image. And then the fact that it's 14 miles from I-70. But there are companies that's not going to matter. So we are looking for other opportunities. We've been engaging and educating ourselves a little bit more on the data centers, just understanding a little bit more. Is that something that we might be a good, of course we're not going to be for the big meta ones, but there are smaller ones that could potentially fit. I mean, I think it would be a great opportunity if we could get that. So we've reached out and tried to connect with some of those people that are in the data center industry. So we're just looking at that, but we're not closing to other options too.
Do we have all the way back, or does it stop right there, kind of where the grass is different?
Yes, perfect. Yes,
That's where it is.
yes, exactly what you said. Kind of where the housing stops
Yeah.
on the west, and that's
I know
it.
the branches has expanded.
The branches are up to
Aren't they
the
right
right.
there? That's not the branches?
No,
Oh,
it's a little bit more west.
That's
West
that
Glen.
Oh, that's that west.
I don't
okay.
know. I don't remember what it's called. I know
West
it's
Glen.
New Lawrence
West
Road.
Glen. Oh, okay, then never mind.
Yeah.
That's right, that's what it is. Okay, thank you.
But I say some of the good things that, I mean, obviously, having all that infrastructure in there, there's a gas line that's really significant, that's helpful. What we learned when we were educating ourselves on data center is that, yes, it does not have as much power as everybody needs right now, but while they're taking that time to upgrade it, they've got a gas line that's going through the park that could serve as temporary power for to serve that data center until they can upgrade. So that's a plus. We've learned, that the expanding of the road right out front from 2 lanes to 4, that's really important for trucks. It's just going to take the right one. So while I'm working on business attraction, Diana is working every day on business retention expansion. She's working with those existing businesses. She's doing annual visits, at least annual visits with some of those companies. She's assisting with state programs. She's looking at workforce solutions and trying to initiate efforts to help those existing companies overcome barriers to growth. Some of those, obviously, same with attraction. Relationships in the BRE world is very important, business retention expansion, sorry. It's really important that she has those relationships. She's also very engaged in some of the organizations in town. She's on the board for the chamber. No, actually, I'm on the board for the chamber, but she goes to the women's division. She's, with Main Street. She's on the board for Grow Leavenworth County. So it's really important that she knows about all those opportunities that can help our businesses. She's working with those workforce partners, and she is helping with those gap funding loans and grants. Couple things that she has initiated. She initiated the job expos, and we are now having them twice a year. This year, one was in, was it in?
Tongi, right?
One was in Tongi. Oh, and then the spring one was at the Heritage Center. Yes, and then the fall one will be in Lansing. So that's been a real positive thing. There were 50 vendors, 50 job seekers at the one here in Leavenworth, and at least one was hired on the spot, so that's really helpful. She also has started what's called, and I have to read it, the CTE Pathway Symposium. She's been initiating this. She saw a need for this in our county. It's a career tech ed program utilizing all levels of education, including high school, community colleges, and four-year universities to supply a workforce pipeline for our local businesses. And it will help businesses also that are locating here to know that they're going to have workforce resources, as well as helping young people find jobs and not have to leave for better opportunities. So she's working now with all the schools and with KCC to work on that. They'll having their second meeting here soon. Impact, 5-year impact here. You've got, we've helped either facilitate new jobs or retained jobs, 538. Through our BRE program, we've helped businesses save or gain funding of over $6 million. In return, the existing businesses have spent nearly $50 million in the last 5 years, and new capital investment has been over $500 million. And those numbers, we are very careful to not overinflate. We have data, we have documents to prove that. We just want to make sure that we're being, nobody is concerned that we are overinflating those numbers, that we're really careful to document those. The other thing I was going to mention is, as you all know, we have the Leavenworth County Port Authority. There's one person. Tom's not there anymore, so we're hopefully going to find someone else to replace him. The Port Authority, established in 1969 to encourage economic development along the river, but as it changed, instead of getting rid of that organization, they just expanded their mission to encourage economic development throughout the county. And so one thing that they can do is they can own land. So they have a few benefits that they can do. LCDC does the staff work for them. So you've got Doug Shimke is the chair right now, and they've got a couple of things that they've been working on. Of course, they've got the Future Funding Committee, which is kind of designed to look at, as you know, we've had some funding issues, look at how other options, other ways that maybe funding can be provided for the Port Authority and for LCDC. And we've also got the Industrial Site Visioning Committee, which is looking for land to potentially be at another business park someday. And why am I forgetting? One more. Okay, I don't remember. Well, I'd also like to say about both the Port Authority and LCDC is to note all the private sector experience that you have that are bringing their brains together. That's the beauty of having a public-private organization. You've got all these public entities, and then you've got private entities that have that are very professional. We've got 6 financial experts. You've got 3 construction engineers, 5 developer realtors, 2 commercial contractors, 3 manufacturers in management, 2 educators, a pharmacist, a nurse, and a defense contractor. And I did look at all the meetings and the time that we spend just taking the meetings that are on the books. There is over 600 hours of volunteer time by all of these professionals a year.
Wow.
And I just think, that's really important. A lot of expertise is coming together to consider economic development for Leavenworth County. And I think that is it, unless you have questions.
I have a question. I noticed in the Port Authority, like every person from the city was a city council member or commissioner. Why don't we have us? Why we just appoint somebody?
Yes, Greg Koss is your appointee.
How did that come about? Like, why aren't the commissioners on that?
I don't know. I'll have to find out for you on that one.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I just noticed like all the other ones were.
It might have been a mayor appointee.
Yes, probably. I need to find out about that,
Yeah,
though,
but I said we want
to
to
be
be-
sure.
Can our mayor appoint our commissioners?
I don't see, yeah, sure. I mean, you think about it, Dan Clemens
Yeah,
is,
they're all on there. They're all like from
Chris
their
Donnelly, you're right.
fields.
I didn't think about that.
What you want to do?
I'm just curious.
We would love it.
Do you know how long ago Greg Cos was?
It was recent.
Yeah, recent. It was like
Was it?
a year or
He's,
so.
Probably a 2-year term at least.
Yeah.
At least, yeah, and actually I was just looking at that, he's at least 2026 before he rolls off.
Be something you could do, Ed. You're good at that.
Why?
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
I'm retiring.
Oh, that's true.
Well, thank you, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, and
Thank
of
you.
course, if you have questions or anything, I'm always available, so call, email, anything, or have me come.
Appreciate
Great
you.
update.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, item number 2, we had late communication this afternoon from the chamber. They were not able to make it. She had a small family emergency, so they're not available this evening.
All right, well, let's talk about snow and ice control operation plan.
It's cold already. Might go some snow.
It's gonna snow on Halloween.
Ooh, that don't surprise me. It's always something about Halloween. Got different weather.
So you're gonna make sure there's no ice tomorrow, right, on the roads?
Oh, yeah, it's frost.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Thank you. This is our annual review of our snow and ice control plan for this upcoming winter season. The plan was first written in October of 1993. Each year we do update it and bring it to the commission. This one will have a date on it of October of 2024. If you have it in your packet, usually we put a nice picture on the front of a snow plow, snow. This year, we put a nice picture of the ocean and a beach. We prefer
You
that.
sure did. Funny.
The snow control meeting was actually held yesterday with local agencies to discuss and coordinate areas of responsibilities. We typically meet with the school district, the Fort, Lansing, and the county. Some couldn't attend yesterday, but we've been doing this for a number of years, and so we kind of lay out who's responsible for what areas. We also work with 2 independent contractors, and they will assist us as needed. Typically, if we get more than 3 inches, if we get less than 3 inches, we don't plow residential streets. Once we get 3 inches or more, if the forecast is for continuing snow, we'll call in our local contractors to help remove that snow from the residential streets. If we have time, city staff will do it, but a lot of times in the bigger snow events, we're concentrating on our main roads. So, no major changes for 24 and 25. Over the last several years, the city has enhanced our capabilities in the area of pre-treating roadways prior to winter events. As last year, the city will be applying salt brine to our hills, to bridges, and to our emergency snow routes. Becky would also like to, if we have time, to do it on residential streets. It does a wonderful thing of melting from underneath, and so the snow and ice doesn't bond as well as to the streets, so it's easier to remove. And last season, we actually started to remove the snow as soon as it started to accumulate. In years past, we had to have at least 2 inches of snow before we dropped our blades. And what happens there is the vehicles drive on that and pack it down. And so you'll be through other communities and the snow's gone, and you come into Leavenworth and the streets are packed. And so as soon as that snow starts to accumulate, we will drop our blades and start removing it. And so that in combination with the brine should really help. One thing I'll say, our priorities, people always ask what we're going to do first. We do our emergency snow routes. And those are pretty much, they're listed on the website and in this report. But that's basically your main east, west, and north, south roads. And so that's where the city staff will be concentrating on, is trying to make sure those are open. Our next priority are our public safety facilities, and then school zones, then our downtown central business district, and then our residential streets. That's the priority we go through. And Becky, if you have anything in there, feel free to add. There is always interest in looking ahead to what the winter might bring. People want to know, how much snow we're going to get. Staff does look at the forecast models from the National Weather Service, the old and new Farmer's Almanac, and various U.S. and European models. We also look at the forecast strength for La Nina and El Nino. And based on that, we did put together a snow map for 2024. We show cold and snow everywhere in this country, except Leavenworth.
Yeah, perfect.
We do show it unseasonably warm with lows in the 40s and highs in the 70s, occasional soaking rain. But for Santa Claus, we do have snow coming in Christmas
Oh,
Eve,
perfect.
but melting on the 26th. So
That's awesome.
if this happens, it's my doing. If it doesn't happen, it's Becky's fault. So,
That's awesome.
That's perfect.
That's really funny.
the city does coordinate with internal resources and local media to distribute this information. We do include the Leavenworth Times and the Fort Leavenworth Public Affairs Office. The emergency snow routes will also be broadcast on Channel 2 and social media as appropriate. And a complete copy of this plan will be available at our service center as well as the city's website. So we do recommend the city commission review the current snow and ice control plan, and Becky and I are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Your emergency routes, do you warn, I guess not warn people, but people can't have their cars on the street. Like I live on Broadway and I always move my car in. What do you do about that?
Well,
Or the cars are out there?
we don't do that unless it's like a snow emergency.
Oh, okay.
And the city manager, the police chief can issue a snow emergency.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, we don't require the
You
cars
just
to be
go around,
removed. Right. We encourage people on those to move them because we'll fly you in.
Yeah.
I mean, so, if anybody can on our streets, you know, if you can pull your cars in your driveway or off the alley, that's a good thing, just it helps us remove that snow.
So I think that if we declare a snow emergency and you live on a snow emergency, we give you a couple of hours to move your car
Okay.
off. And then, I think it's been a few years since we've actually had to tow anybody or move anybody. And it's not impounded or anything like that, just move out of the way if we have to, but.
How does it go out if there's a snow emergency? On Facebook or, I mean,
Right,
social media? Okay.
yeah, all the sources that we have. And that, people are pretty savvy, you know, that if a big snow's coming, 4 or 5 inches. and
Sure.
They live here for a while, they're on a route, they're pretty savvy about helping us, so.
And we do have 4 or 5 plows at our local schools.
5 plows.
And so our local schools,
Getting
they love to
painted.
paint the plows. And then we actually put those on trucks in the area that those schools are. So if we do get a big snow event, in theory, the kids will be at home, but they'll see the plows going up and down the road, so.
That's really cool. So last year I got a lot of complaints about snowplows hitting mailboxes.
Mhm.
What do we do?
We
Just
will
send them to
replace
you guys?
those, they need to call
Send it
in.
back.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
And there's a lot of people have just the old 4x4 wooden post, it's
Yeah.
rotted at the bottom, it's barely hanging on.
Yeah.
We hit it with a little bit of snow from the blade, they'll go over, and we do replace those at no cost. We just have to know about it.
Okay, thank you.
What priority do the municipal parking lots get?
Well, the city our city trucks will plow the municipal lots.
But, I mean, you don't do that first, you get the emergency
We
roads.
try to do that, but then you'll,
if I have enough trucks, and that is my goal, is have trucks on the emergency snow routes, plus have a truck downtown with trucks in the parking lots. Otherwise, when we're done with the emergency snow routes, we will
Then
transition
you
to
go
the
to
parking
that.
lots.
Thank you.
and then last year we called in our contractors, I believe, one time. But we also had enough snow that we actually did the downtown. Well, they'll bring in a conveyor system and actually load up the snow and haul it off-site, just so our businesses can stay open.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Well, one last question. Who's responsible for the snow on the sidewalks in the
Yeah.
downtown business area?
That would be,
Business owner,
Okay, all right.
the business owner is required
Yeah.
to do that.
Okay, yeah, I just wanna, yeah.
I know last year we got a couple,
Yeah.
to bring up too, like where they would clear the sidewalk, but our plows would go through and then
right.
put it back on the sidewalk.
And that's one of the biggest complaints we hear, especially about driveways.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
someone
yeah,
will clear the driveway
They can't
off,
get out.
and we'll come right back and bury it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so, if you go to the city's website, and there's a snow policy under Public Works,
Yeah.
and you click on that link,
I know.
at the bottom of that page is a picture. And it shows you the best way to remove the snow that hopefully you won't get buried again. And basically, you're removing the snow upstream of your driveway.
Yep.
And so our plows come down we'll actually push the snow into that, so there's much less that goes into your driveway.
Yeah.
So, but that's one of the biggest complaints
Yeah.
we get on that.
That's why I have 2 SUVs now. I just run over the dump you give me. Yeah.
The other thing too is we encourage people, I mean, clean your sidewalks, residential properties, you're responsible for cleaning your sidewalk. But if you live on a corner and you have an ADA ramp at the corner, please clear that off. It's not something the city, every intersection will have ADA ramps. And it's not something that we have staff to do. So if someone has a
Snow blower.
disability that can't
Yeah.
go with a vehicle, they can go down a sidewalk and all of a sudden this corner ramp is buried and they're trapped in their block. And so I always try to encourage people, if you have a ramp, please try to clear it.
And that one's, the easiest thing to do there is to use an actual broom, a hard bristle broom, because you can't use your snow shovel in between every little knob there, you know?
Any other questions?
Appreciate it,
All
thank you.
right, thank you so much. Thank you for all you do.
Hopefully no serious snow this
I
year.
hope my math is correct.
I hope that is correct.
We got a salt program or residence?
All right, next up is food truck pilot program update.
From snow plowing to food trucks.
Yeah.
All right, shift gears a
Successful
little bit.
program.
Okay, so about a year ago, there were only 3 options for a food truck in the Leavenworth downtown. You could have it at Haymarket Square, the event center. You could have it on private property, or you could get a special event permit, which meant a road closure and all that requires that. So after a local brewery reached out with a request to allow a food truck next to their business, the city looked at current city ordinances, the city looked at what other cities were doing. We researched best practices and fire considerations. We had 4 study sessions. We put out a survey that had over 1,500 responses, including 900 written comments. We gained additional feedback from food establishments specifically. We worked with Main Street and we worked with Wilcott Brewing. And all that information and feedback generally told us 2 things. 1, people locally wanted food trucks as an option in the downtown. And 2, there were clear concerns about current brick and mortar restaurants and not inconveniencing downtown travel and parking. So the result of that was a 6-month food truck pilot program for the downtown that was included in your packet as a refresher. That pilot program utilized existing city ordinances that authorize the city manager to allow food trucks to park on the street with permission. And the program detailed how those requests would be reviewed. The goal was to have permits from various areas in the downtown, really so we get feedback. We'd be able to test the concept, see if it worked, get negative feedback, get positive feedback, and really learned what the downtown impact would be and whether an ordinance change was the appropriate next step. The only update I have for you tonight is that one business, Wilcott Brewing, received a permit and has taken advantage of the pilot program. From what I know, that's gone well. We've had no complaints from individuals or businesses. Main Street also verified they've not received any complaints. Wilcott is generally happy with the current program. So with the limited data that I have, I can say the pilot program has worked well at the corner of 6th and Cherokee in front of Wilcott Brewing. What I really can't say is we have enough data to really understand what this might mean in other locations of our downtown. We know we have a 28-block downtown, and there's some unique features and road widths and parking impacts. So I can't say how this might work, say, on 5th Street or a block away from Dairy Queen on Delaware. So what that really means is staff is not recommending as a next step we look at an ordinance change at this time. What staff would recommend is the commission consider supporting an extension to the current program for another 6 months and working with our economic development partners, which is Main Street and the Chamber, to really try to do better outreach and let folks know that the program was available. It seemed like there was a lot of buzz when the program first came out. We did the survey, we had the study sessions, and it's been fairly quiet through the summer. So that would be one thing that I would recommend is we just do further outreach with our partners, hoping we reach all the businesses that might take advantage of this. And then I did work with Sean Wilcott specifically, who was really hoping for the city to expand the program. So his initial request was really for the city to kind of allow food trucks multiple days. Right now, the program is structured Saturday through Tuesday. So it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Wilcott said they're primarily using it Saturday and Tuesdays, but they would like to see that be allowed on additional days. So maybe something that this commission wants to consider is if we do extend the program, considering adding on additional days, keep in mind that won't just be for that one location. And the way the program is written is fairly generous because we wanted participation. So something we might just want to keep in mind is if we extend it and open it up for additional days based on the request, it would apply to all eligible businesses that apply for the permit. The day selection was based off of not wanting to impact, let's say, a Thursday or a Friday in the downtown, so that's why the Saturday was allowed, trying to meet that need to have it on the weekend. But also, we were cautious. We didn't know if we were gonna have a lot of folks participating in a lot of areas. We didn't want to have negative impacts. So that's where some of that thought process came in. And that's really the update that I have for you tonight. I'm open for your questions and your feedback.
I got a question. Has any other business outside of Wilcott inquired about any additional days, or?
No, I haven't heard any feedback
Okay.
about the program. Like, we're not using it because
Yeah.
it's on-street parking. We're not using it because of the days. I've not heard any of that. So it doesn't seem, from what I've, not heard, right, that it's the program itself.
Yeah.
For whatever that's helpful for the information.
So we're 100%.
Yeah, I think that maybe Main Street could incorporate the trucks into their Alive After 5 or something if we did open it up to Thursdays.
Yeah, that certainly would be an option. I mean, it'd be an option to consider adding at least an additional day, whether that day would be Wednesday or Thursday. Again, the balance for the city to consider is, I think we walked into this carefully and cautiously, which is probably appropriate. So if an additional day or days is appropriate, that's something that staff could add on easily. Again, this is under the city manager's discretion to approve the permit, but just setting some parameters for it. The ordinance just said city manager may approve. And that was almost too wide to then pick and choose what was said yes to.
Makes sense.
Did you look at what the impacts were of I think we've had 2 events that we closed the streets and everything, and I know they brought in food trucks during those events. Have you looked at what any of that has, any kind of an impact has been at all?
Yeah, so that's
People
not part
liked
of this
it, didn't
program,
like
right?
it.
That's part of the
know.
general special event program that we've had, or it's a permit, really. We're gonna close down the road, we're gonna put food trucks, we're gonna have an event. So this really functions,
Yeah.
it doesn't require the road closure. That's the unique part of this, is it's done in a way that considers all those safety concerns, intersections, signage, but doesn't require the road closure. Because with the road closure, right, it's special event, probably a certificate of insurance, some other items, that may be intimidating if you're a smaller business and you just want to have a food truck for, say, your retail event. I don't have any data as far as what some of those special events have brought.
Okay.
I've noticed a lot of food trucks are going out to the old plaza and parking out there.
I mean, that's private property.
Yeah.
So in some ways, that's
They still need a permit, right? They get, or no? Yeah.
mobile food
Are
vendor.
they doing that?
Yeah, that's from the state.
Are they coming through?
I don't know what
Oh, well, like I saw,
people are parking out there, so I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you
Yeah.
that, but I mean, they should,
Like I saw there was
use
a
the township of food.
like a
truck
Smash
license.
Burgers the other night. Yeah, I just wondered.
We generally, hear that, try to reach out to them, because yes, there's items from the state they need. They also need a mobile food vendor permit from the city, unless it's part of a special event, as in like a city-sponsored event or something like that.
Awesome, okay.
It's unusual. We have 9 or 10 that are licensed or permitted within the city, and they follow all the guidelines of where to park, where to not park. They get their food handling permits and have everything from the state. That's part of the reason we have that, is to ensure they've checked all those boxes.
Yeah, Black Belt Barbecue is good at that.
Well, I'm in favor of, extending it for 6 months, adding additional days just to really see what impact we're really gonna have. So,
I
whatever
agree.
We have to do that, can we do that here? We don't make decisions here.
Yeah, this is informational. Again, this is already under the city manager's purview. The purpose of the pilot program was just to kind of say, here's how it's going to be structured when the city manager reviews that. So, yeah, I think it's probably appropriate based on the feedback to consider adding an additional day or days. From a staff perspective, I may not want it to be 7 days a week. My caution on that is it would be potentially, and one could get a permit for 7 days a week, the same spot every day. Like, that's what the permit allows. Again, we wrote it to be generous, wanting participation. So might want to leave at least one day that it's solely the local restaurants and brick and mortar.
Yeah, I'm sure Tenpenny doesn't want a food truck parked right next door to them, right outside on there.
So I would also say, they have the option, if there is another arrangement, that we have it written that it has to be, if it's within 100 feet,
That's right.
that the brick and mortar would have to
Yeah.
sign off on that. So in that example, let's say even with the Wilcott, so Tenpenny had to sign off that they agree to that. So that is one of the requirements, again, trying to balance that. But if the existing brick and mortar says, I'm okay with this, then the city says, that sounds good to us.
Any other questions?
I'm good with it.
Great.
All right, so next up about the business symposium update.
Great. Well, I should have had this teed up. That's okay. Let's see how fast I can type. All right, so I'm bringing up the website for the city's economic development page. I'm really showing everyone how they can register for the business symposium. So if you just go to the city's economic development page, it has the agenda right there on the page, so you can look at what sessions are available. And at the bottom, you can register for the event. It's that easy. So for the third year, the city is holding the Business Symposium. It's October 28th, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Riverfront Community Center. It's a free event to attend, and you can register online. The goals for the city's Business Symposium are twofold. First, to bring top resources to current businesses and future entrepreneurs. We know this half-day event has resulted in new Leavenworth businesses. They've met here at City Hall with the Small Business Development Center, working on their business plans and marketing plans, and they reached out to me for city grants and state loans. The second goal is for the city to demonstrate leadership in creating an environment of community collaboration amongst business leaders, local organizations, and government to encourage new approaches to local progress. Through the city's connections and economic development expertise, we bring many people to the table to look at the challenge of growing the city. There can be a lot of effort in economic development, but from a city perspective, there's an expectation of measurable results. And that starts with shared information and developing strategies that are most likely to succeed. So with those two goals in mind, I'm very excited to announce the symposium's keynote speaker will be Dr. Jason Bosch with the Kansas Leadership Center. That's a group out of Wichita. So Dr. Bosch's presentation, as you can see from the agenda, if I will scroll down, is at 11 o'clock. You're likely aware that companies nationwide bring in the Kansas Leadership Center methods to train leaders and staff on adaptive leadership. They generously work with us as a local government with limited budget to bring this resource here at no cost to participants. The elevated approach looks at problem solving for complex problems, not by having people look for the person in charge or the one that has all the answers, but as being empowered as someone who can help find solutions and participate in collaboration. The strategy applies to entrepreneurs and businesses. New businesses arise when people solve for problems, and finding better solution is how current businesses thrive. So this will gather audience questions during that presentation, and then Dr. Bosch will answer those as well in a discussion over the lunch hour. The rest of the agenda also supports event goals. So we have the University of Kansas Small Business Development Center talking about business strategies. We have the U.S. Small Business Administration out of Kansas City talking about gaining capital to finance your venture. We have Network Kansas and Grow Leavenworth County talking about gap financing and entrepreneur resources. A business panel will focus on innovation and features Great Western Manufacturing and Central Bag, both great local companies that have had to adapt to succeed over the years. I think everyone here knows that Great Western Manufacturing is the oldest Kansas continually operating manufacturing firm. That's a mouthful. So they've definitely had to innovate and adapt over the years and probably have some great feedback as well. And then we're bringing in Kansas State Product Development and Technology Institute. This is product development, patents, prototyping, marketing. I'd be very excited if we get a new business to Leavenworth as a result of their presentation. That's done in partnership with the Leavenworth High School. So the presentation is for adults to consider really creating products. Create something new. And then in the afternoon, the group from K-State will head to the high school where they'll have hands-on, interactive robots, 3D printing to try to encourage students to look at starting their own business as they create a product and pursuing degree programs. I appreciate Dr. Kellen Adams and his team to help get that set up. So K-State will help us with the adult section and the student section. And then the event also involves our local economic development partners. That's LCDC, that's Main Street, that's the Chamber, that's Grow Leavenworth County, and that's the Fort Leavenworth Employment Readiness Office. They'll all be there providing information and meeting business owners. And of course, the city will be there as well, providing information on how to start a business here. It's also an opportunity to bring in staff in a different environment that businesses will usually have to interact with, but not at the time we're having them get a permit or inspecting their building. So fire staff will be there, the clerk's office, planning, building inspections, and again, just to have the chance to talk directly to businesses in a different way than walking into City Hall when you need something. So we try to provide that as an option. And then city commissioners are also on the roster for attendance, and it's an opportunity for you all to talk directly to businesses and hear their feedback and hear their concerns. And ideally, this is, we say partnership, and it's probably overused, but if we want the city to grow in business and economically, we all have a part in that, and it's good that we're talking and trying to figure that out together. The program is drop-in, so the agenda is online with the specifics. So if you can't attend for the full day, that's okay. You can register and drop in for the sessions that really matter to you the most, that are the most informational. Again, lunch will be served. I think that's around 11:45. I know business owners have a lot on their plate just trying to run a business, so we try to make this as friendly to them as possible. That's why it's on a Monday when maybe it's a quieter day. That's why it's a half day in the morning, and that's why it's open for them as they can attend.
A lot of people register?
Yep, I have 65 so far.
Oh, wow.
So that's business participants, there's some city staff, commissioners, economic development organizations. That ranges from banks, credit unions, realtors, retail, technology. So we know in Leavenworth we have a wide variety of businesses, even smaller businesses. This is meant for the entrepreneur. I make goods out of my house that I sell on Etsy. There's information here for you. It's meant for large manufacturers. Talk about innovation and how are people facing workforce challenges? How are they using technology and machinery improvements, and or just how are you empowering your staff to help you with your business? So it's meant for large businesses. Primarily, we tend to get more smaller businesses. We get a lot of downtown businesses. We get a lot of retail, restaurants, professional services, and hopefully there is enough to meet all of those needs. And again, this isn't to solve all the problems at the session. I say this is so you know the resources are available and you see how it benefits you. And then you're gonna call the Small Business Development Center, you're gonna work on your business plan, you're gonna work with the Small Business Administration, maybe on a loan, and then if you can't get all the loan that you need for your business, look at Grow Leavenworth County for your gap financing. This is kind of step one, is even know what's available to you, how to know who's there to help you. And then step two is they access the resources. And we've generally seen that be successful from the SBA, the SBDC. We know that that's happening after the conference. So those are some positives. Well, that's the update. Everyone, again, is welcome to attend, register online, and would love to see as many as we can fit at the Riverfront Community Center.
I think I registered, but I can't remember. I think I did. I did, thank you.
So it's not going to 1600 like I have on my calendar?
It's scheduled till 1 o'clock.
Okay.
No, it's not going till
Good.
5 o'clock. Right, yeah, it's 6.
Thank you.
It's
I will
8:30
edit that one.
a.m. to 1 p.m.
He's got half
Central
day back.
Standard Time. So there'll be again, the mayor will open and welcome, and then it'll start with presentations, and we'll go from there and enjoy the day and look forward to more new business in Leavenworth.
Awesome, thank you for putting this together, Chief. Looks great. Okay, so that's all that's on our agenda, so we'll go around the room.
Mayor Pro Tem Commission, the trunk or treat is this Saturday, October 20th, from 5 to 7. There are 50 folks registered. We have room for a few more, so if you are still interested in coming out and do trunk or treat, handing out candy to the kids, you're welcome. Mr. Grant would like me to make sure everybody brings candy enough for 1,000 kids, which is what we expect. That's been the attendance last year. So we'll see you guys hopefully on Saturday. And excellent news from the Public Works Department. Yesterday we received notice from Governor Kelly's office and the Kansas Department of Transportation. City of Leavenworth was awarded a grant in the amount of $629,750 for ADA enhancement and sidewalk enhancement downtown. And
Yay, that's
Mr.
great.
Faust and his team did a lot of really, really good hard work, and that paid off with the announcement yesterday. So they'll get working on that, accepting that grant, and that is scheduled, I think, we talked about maybe the late fall of 25 or early 26 for that to begin.
That's great, congratulations.
So that's it.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to the governor.
All right, Ed, you have anything?
It's going to be cold tomorrow morning. Bring your plants in, or cover them up, or whatever it takes. And be sure not to step out there to go pick up the newspaper or to put out the flag without having your sweatpants on, not just your gym shorts. You know, you want to stay warm when you step out there. It's going to be cold. It's not even going to hit 40, it said this morning. I checked, yeah, it's going to be cold. So stay warm, protect yourself, stay healthy.
Absolutely.
God bless.
Jermaine?
Yeah, echoing what Ed said. I want to encourage the parents to please go out and attend parent-teacher conference this week. Great job to all of our teachers. This in the school district, just from the teachers to the custodians. I love you all. Thank you for your hard work and commitment. And shout out to the alumni that has some Jeff, Ty, Thompson, that's in the Leavenworth Academic Hall of Fame.
Right.
Some great accomplishments and a lot of great things that's happening in our community. God bless and have a great week.
All right, thank you. I don't have much, but I do want to bring up this topic. I talked to Chief Kitchens about it, but how do we feel about removing the back into the city parking lots sign, that no backing in?
Is that a city thing or is that a state law?
What do you mean?
You know
So
how,
there's okay, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so there's a city ordinance on the books that prohibits backing into the stalls, and it's generally associated with municipal parking lots. And so, Mayor Pro Tem asked about that. That would be something you would want to consider. I think if you're interested, or there's a consensus, I could put some information together and come see you at a study session for a few minutes and talk about it, give you a sense of why it happens and what's the purpose for the ordinance, but I think she wants to lobby for that, have that discussion.
I get so many people ask why they can't back in, and so,
The only reason I've ever thought of,
yeah,
if,
to escape quick.
well, that's one thing. I back in whenever I can. I always do. Whenever I can, I back in. which, you know, but I've always thought that you don't back in so that as a police car is driving by and he's looking at license plates, okay. Oh, wait a minute, this guy's backed in. Kansas doesn't require a front plate. So they've got to get out, and they got to stop, get out, hold everybody up behind them, go look at what the license plate is, check on that, and that kind of thing.
Is that true?
Maybe that's not the reason.
That's probably one of the reasons. I'll be glad to, if there's consensus, be
Yeah,
glad
I'm
to.
open, yeah.
Bring a little bit of information, get the origins of all of that, in a sense of why we do that.
It'd be good for the public to get the information.
And then if you, out of that, we'd have to, talk about removing it from the ordinance books, whichever one it's located in. I think both. So we'll be glad to do that. I'll put it on the books to come see you guys in a month or so.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. That's all I have.
Yep.
Do I need a motion or just adjourn?
Sure.
Meeting's adjourned.